Yo, today about to be reacting to the street image obsession is slowly dying. Hey man, I definitely agree with that statement just because the simple fact the streets are dead, my God. You know what I'm saying? Everybody telling everything on camera. And it's harder to get away with crimes these days. So it's like the only way you gonna end up is dead or in jail, truthfully. But let's see what they talking about.
I'ma say this. The streets are dead. People gonna snitch. People gonna die. People gonna end up in jail. Let's
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Hey, no bull.
do some real stuff. Learn
Great
day
minds think alike, by the way. Yes, sir.
trade and learn how to be in construction and build for real.
We got all these youngsters claiming streets, claiming blocks, claiming colors, claiming sets, but nobody claiming morals, nobody claiming honor, nobody claiming pride, nobody claiming wisdom. When did the streets turn into a bunch of lost souls pulling triggers without thinking?
And I keep
I feel like the streets have always been full of people with no morals and lost souls pulling triggers. Just because the simple fact, you got to think about it this way, bro. I feel like majority of the people that turn to the streets, they lack poor guidance at home. They lack a solid male figure in the house. And if they do got a male figure in the house, they not doing what they need to do. But that's not in all cases, because some kids just, oh, that looks cool, so I'm gonna go do it. But that's not the case for many kids, because a lot of kids wish they had a solid role model. If they did, they wouldn't be in the position that they in today. Trust.
a lot of people saying that the streets are dead, but if you ask me, I don't think it's that the streets are dead because violence still exists. I think the obsession with the streets are dead. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, people are just tired of all the destruction that it
Everybody
causes. I'll
telling.
be completely honest with you. I don't even know how people can be so reckless with their freedom. I don't get it. But at the same time, I'm just happy that people are getting sick of the obsession. I'm just happy that people are just waking up, bro.
If you're a producer who
Hey
hates
man, let me
AI,
get an ad
this
block when
plugin
I get
might change your
monetized.
mind.
Don't
This
worry
is
about it, Joe.
reimagining
How y'all they
co-producer.
going?
You can take
Word,
Now, if
that's
you've been
what's
paying
up, bro.
attention to social media the last few years, especially since the pandemic, you've probably noticed a shift. The street image doesn't hit the same way it used to. Not because violence disappeared, but because people are exhausted by the damage it's caused in real life. Everything feels louder, more reckless, and harder to defend. So even though the violence is still there, the obsession behind it is slowly starting to die out. Now, for most people, the street lifestyle isn't something they actually lived. It's something they were first introduced to through media, movies, rap videos, documentaries.
True, but you can't necessarily blame that on the reason why people are turning to the streets. Just because the simple fact, people have parents. You know what I'm saying? As a parent, it's your job to monitor what your kids is watching. Straight like that. It's all on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all type of social medias. But you have to monitor what your kid is watching. Because if you don't monitor what your kid is watching, then they going to grow up watching the wrong stuff and then try to be what they see on the internet. For example, it's like, I got my little sister. She about like 12. When I see something that I don't like I see something that seems inappropriate, I tell my mama and she handle it her way. Just because it's simple fact. You're not about to pick up these bad habits and turn into something that you're not just to fit in. You get what I'm saying? That's all it is, bro. Kids want to fit in with
After
each
the rise
other.
of NWA in the late 80s, what started as raw storytelling from places like Compton and South Central LA slowly turned into something else, the birth of gangsta rap. As that sound grew, major corporations stepped in, the streets got commodified, and the hood turned into something you could package and sell. A genre that was originally created to amplify black voices eventually became a product in a much bigger business game. But underneath all that, the truth was always simple. This started with inner city kids rapping about what they're seeing every single day, whether it was violence, poverty, drugs, survival. Those stories resonated and they eventually took off. The same neighborhoods that were once feared suddenly became marketable to the mainstream. And by the time we reach 2025, the glorification of street culture isn't subtle anymore. You can feel its impact everywhere. Entire subcultures in hip hop, especially drill, took that glorification to a whole new level.
True. But again, you can't blame that. You can't blame the way the kids are on straight media because the parents got to monitor that. You know what I'm saying? Straight
Rappers
like
like
that,
King
bro.
Von became the face of a darker, more dangerous era. and the consequences of that are still being felt in communities today. But here's the part that matters the most. Street culture didn't disappear. It entered a new stage. When social media fully took over, the entire dynamic changed. People weren't just listening to the streets anymore. They were scrolling through them. Fights, robberies, shootouts, beefs, all of this has been documented in front of millions and millions of people.
True.
And during the pandemic,
That's why, bro. When I couldn't get a Facebook until like I couldn't get a Facebook until high school. Like I had Kick. If y'all know what Kick is, if y'all don't, then I might sound old. Not Kick the streaming app, Kick the texting app, KIK. I had that, but I couldn't get Facebook because my mama said that it was too much on Facebook, and I definitely see what she was talking about now. Trust.
when the world shut down and everyone was stuck
Shout
inside,
out to my
that
mama.
visibility hit a whole new level. Drama replaced music, clicks replaced consequences, and real lives paid the price. And that set the stage for a very key figure in this entire conversation, King Von.
One of Satan's greatest
Oh my
soldiers
God.
was King Von.
The late
Is he
Chicago rapper
lying,
King Von
though?
wasn't just
Is
another
he
street
lying?
rapper. He became
Nah,
the
he
real life
ain't.
embodiment of everything the internet glorified, not just through his music, but through how his life played out online. And the internet showed just how deep that influence went. Some of you guys might remember that clip of that young boy saying he was inspired by King Von to chase his teacher with scissors. And that
yeah.
right there just really shows you how far the reach went.
See, again, what your kids are exposed to is very important. Kids' minds are like sponges, so it's definitely important habits that you do as by yourself, because kids are going to pick up on those habits and inherit them themselves. You don't want your kid picking up bad habits. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of these kids weren't just listening to his music, they were internalizing the persona. And another moment that really puts this entire conversation into perspective is that IG Live, for anyone who hasn't seen it, right? It's an IG Live where King Von pulled up to the hood with Chicago rapper Lil Reese, and there's this little kid standing around him, right? And out of nowhere, he points a water gun straight at Lil Reese's head, and then Von laughs and says,
"Whoa, that's crazy." I don't know if y'all can see because I'm probably in the way, but y'all see this little kid put up. This just bring up, see, look, stuff like this. This is why teaching gun safety is important. You know what I'm saying? Because if he had the knowledge of gun safety, then this kid wouldn't do this with a water gun. Hear me out though. Maybe like 2-3 years ago, right? In Milwaukee, where I live at, in Milwaukee, there's these two kids playing in the bathroom, right? Boy and a girl. Cool. They playing in the bathroom and they got a Glock. They playing in the bathroom with a Glock with a 50-round drum on it, right? Cool. And so they just playing, all innocent, ha ha he he, thinking it's a toy, right? The little girl aimed the Glock at the boy head, right? Accidentally pull the trigger, boom, loud pop. She doesn't know what happened. All she knows is she's in trouble, so she panics. She killed the boy. She panics, then she grabs the gun and offs herself in GTA, real life. But yeah, she offs herself. R.I.P. to those two kids. But I say that to say this: if those kids were aware of how to treat a gun and how guns are not toys, then that situation wouldn't happen. A lot of gun violence with kids, a lot of that stuff wouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Gun safety is important.
You really
bro.
let
That's
this
crazy.
clip sink in. There is so much dysfunctional street
That's
conditioning
crazy, bro.
baked into these few seconds right here. Because when you look at it, the kid wasn't trying to be funny. He was doing what he sees in his world. He didn't understand the weight behind that gesture. Because in his environment, it feels normal, except people don't do it with water guns. They do it with real ones. And that's something that people always overlook. Kids don't imitate rappers. They imitate the environment that shaped the rappers.
Indeed.
And once the internet started amplifying that environment, the so-called street image took on a life of its own. And that's where King Von became a symbol, not just for the music, but for the persona the internet lashed onto. So a lot of people online.
My daughter, I ain't playing none of that shit. My daughter ain't having no TikTok. She ain't having no Instagram. She definitely ain't having no Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I don't think my baby gonna have no social medias. She gonna get her stuff straight off YouTube, and I'm gonna be right there to watch it. Kids YouTube.
He wasn't treated like an artist, okay? He was basically a real-life version of
She
the
on
street
TikTok,
image
I'm around
they
it.
already believed in. Content creators even portrayed him like a villain straight out of a crime documentary. People praised the realism, and, Von, for what it's worth, he had the music to back it up. But here's the truth about King Von, right? He was a street dude who happened to become a rapper, not a rapper who became a street dude. And that distinction matters because when the lifestyle comes first, the music isn't the cause, it's the evidence. It doesn't create the violence, it records it. And the thing about Vaughn is that he spoke directly to those inner city kids who were already wrestling with the streets around them. Vaughn was the voice they recognized because he lived what he rapped. But like we all know, his story ended during the height of the pandemic after an altercation that turned deadly. However, even in Vaughn's
RIP to everybody that died to like gang violence, gun violence. You know, nobody deserves that. But we not about to sit here and just act like King Von is the only one out here doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the only one. Like he, you know what I'm saying? Like he influences. They got Pooh Shiesty. They got K-Flock. They got NBA Youngboy. Maybe G Herbo, probably not. He don't rap about that no more. But yeah, you get what I'm saying, bro. It's more than King Von.
On Earth.
But it's a good example.
He became
though.
someone with massive influence, and that influence would go on to shape how the youth viewed street culture and what it really means to live that type of life. But the truth is, Vaughn wasn't the only example of how deep this glorification went. Over the years, there were a bunch of moments, big and small, that showed just how far the culture had drifted from reality. Moments that made people kind of take a step back and say, wait a second, how are we still celebrating this? Now, one of the clearest examples of that is a story I covered years ago. The case of Philadelphia rapper Pop Hunna. Now, Pop Hunna is a rapper out of Philly, and a few years ago, he had real momentum. He was picking up steam in the rap world. His music was going viral on TikTok. He had a few big cosigns and a few big records, and he looked like he was next up. But almost overnight,
get this. He got blackballed from the industry because he was a kid and he witnessed a murder and he told the police. Ain't that messed up? But yeah, people are still glorifying Young Thug, and he was in the interrogation room with the detectives for hours. Come on, bro. It's just favoritism. That's all it is. Life is full of favoritism. We all know
career
that.
collapsed. And you may wonder why. Well, this is why that happened. He helped solve a crime. Back in 2015, when Pop Hunna was just 14 years old, he witnessed the murder of another 14-year-old boy. His name was Duval DeShields, and he did what any scared kid would do. He cooperated with the police. He tried to do the right thing, never imagining that decision would come back to haunt him. Fast forward to 2020 during the height of the pandemic, and Pop Hunna is blowing up, and a few of his songs are going viral, and he also got a co-sign in collaboration with Lil Uzi Vert. His entire life was basically changing at this point, and then documents leaked of his cooperation with the police. Suddenly, the entire rap industry labeled him a snitch.
I did a bid at 14, no excuses. You also got shot like a couple times, like 10, 11 times, bro. That's not the way to live, you know what I'm saying? Doing a bid at 14. Again, poor guidance. People are flexing or bragging about having poor guidance in life. Man, only if y'all had better parents, bro.
Rappers distanced themselves. People clowned him online like he betrayed the streets. Even artists he worked with, like Lil Uzi Vert himself, completely ghosted him. Like he just stopped responding to him, and he acted like he never really even knew him in the first place. And keep in mind, he didn't do anything morally wrong. He was just a witness.
They want him to do a bid for something that he didn't do as a kid. He doesn't understand the street politics. I'm sure his parent didn't teach him the street politics and how stuff worked, because he probably wasn't around that. But who knows?
Homicide case where another child lost their life, and still he got blackballed from the rap game forever. I'll never forget the story because it exposed something a lot of us have known about the so-called street code. Street culture does not care about what's right. It cares about maintaining the image. And when people started seeing how backwards it really is, you know, how doing the right thing can get you exiled, that's when a big part of the obsession started dying. And it's not only rappers who got punished by this mentality. Going all the way back to the late 80s, this mindset was already destroying lives. And by the early 90s, it led to one of the most disturbing stories in Chicago history. And it starts with an 11-year-old boy named Robert Yummy Sandefire, nicknamed Yummy because he loved cookies. Before he ever had a real childhood, he was recruited into the Black Disciples, a Chicago street gang that had been around since the late 1960s. Now one day the gang handed him a gun and told him to shoot at a rival.
See, poor guidance. If he had proper structure, if he had the right male role models around him, he wouldn't be in that situation. Older cats telling him to go do their dirty work because you're going to get less time. You're going to get a slap on the wrist because you're just a kid. So, yeah, go kill that guy.
Called Test of Loyalty. But when Yummy fired into a crowd, he accidentally killed a 14-year-old girl named Siobhan Dean.
See,
Now what happened
RP to that girl, bro. And it's like, y'all want to blame the kids, but bro, kids are a product of their environment. We all are products of our environment, you know? Let it be a good environment, let it be bad. But we don't have to become that environment. We can be a product of our environment and grow out of that. A lot of people don't grow out of it. Ain't that crazy?
as that the police were looking for him, and Yummy, because he was a little boy, right, he got scared and he tried to turn himself in, or he was actually about to turn himself in. And that's when the gang looked at him and said, this kid is going to be a problem. And that's when 2 teenage gang members took Yummy under a bridge, told him that everything would be okay, and shot him in the back of the head. 11 years old, killed by the same culture, who
R.I.P.
convinced him
him.
that this was the only way to belong. And that's the truth about the streets. They don't mentor kids, they recruit them. They don't protect kids, they sacrifice them, all for a reputation that was never real in the first place. And here's the thing, stories like this didn't just expose the truth anymore, right? After a while, they stopped feeling shocking and started feeling familiar. Same outcomes, same funerals, same wasted potential. And when you grow up watching the same endings play out over and over again, at some point, it stops feeling aspirational and it starts feeling exhausting. That's why you're seeing something change. Even people who once fell for the image are starting to realize there's nothing powerful about throwing your life away for the streets and the image that comes with it. But this is where things get more complicated, because not everyone who ends up in the streets is there for the same reason. Yes, for some people, for a lot of people, it really is survival, limited options, real economic pressure, growing up feeling like the world was already stacked.
And for those kids have it the hardest. But not all kids are like that. A lot of kids want that lifestyle. They want to live like that. They think that it's cool to live like that because they make it seem cool. It's all a facade. It's all a trap. They make it seem cool so you can throw your life away. Then boom.
Against you. And when someone lives in that headspace, when it feels like you don't have much to lose, that's when you start seeing what people call crashing out. Crashing out is when someone moves off pure ego or emotion with zero thought about what comes next. Essentially, they make a very irrational decision and throw their entire life away. But here's the part that a lot of people don't really like talking about. When it comes to the majority of these cases that we're seeing now of a lot of these young kids crashing out, it's not survival driving their behavior.
Nah. It's influence. They want to look cool. So they're fake crashing out. They want to be looked at as a crash out. It's weird, bro. They want this facade for people to be scared of them or people to respect them. But it's like the loudest in the room. I don't take the loudest in the room serious. That's just me personally.
Else. There's another group, a huge group that barely gets mentioned. Kids who actually come from decent homes, parents who care, food in the fridge, a bed to sleep in. They're not running from hunger. They're not running from danger. They're running from being a nobody. And this is what the majority of these crash out cases looks like now. It's a bunch of young lost souls ready to crash out over something minuscule, trying to find themselves through killing another person, because that's the only time they feel a sense of worth. When you feel invisible in every part of your life, the streets promise something fast: status, fear-based respect, and identity. So a lot of these kids aren't choosing the streets because they have to. They're choosing it because they want to be seen. And that's why this new generation of young criminals are especially dangerous. A lot of these young kids are so overstimulated that they don't even have the capacity to think beyond the few seconds it takes to take another person's life. So the obsession with the street image has shifted into something even emptier, chasing validation instead of escaping poverty. But there's another huge part of this: the illusion. One of the biggest stories this year exposed that perfectly. Young Thug,
I was
a rapper,
just talking about this earlier. Why is he not getting the Pop Hunter treatment? I'm genuinely
built
curious.
his entire career on the image of being powerful, respected, and deeply connected to the streets. He spent over 900 days in jail, hit with a massive RICO case, and was praised for standing on the so-called street principle, especially while distancing himself from Gunna for allegedly breaking them. Then came a very big story, which
Hypocrite,
was
bro.
the leaked interrogation audio. Clips that appeared to show Young Thug cooperating, name-dropping, talking to detectives, saying he'd talk as long as the world never found out. Long story short, Young Thug, the guy who people pointed to as real street rap, had to fight hard just to protect his image. And that's when a lot of people checked out. Because to most people now, it doesn't look powerful. It doesn't look solid. The streets look sloppy. It looks insecure. And once you see that, the question simply becomes, what does being in the street actually contribute to the world? I mean, let's talk about it. You end up broke, you lose your freedom, you cut your life short. And here's the thing, which is something a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people in this younger generation, and I'm talking about people like us, I'm not talking about the crash outs, we want better for ourselves. And that's not because we're soft, but because we've seen what this mindset does to so many communities. And here's the
I'm
thing,
looking
at some point,
no,
you gotta
this
call
one.
a spade a spade. The streets are lame. I mean, think about it. You're
Indeed.
willingly putting yourself in a position where another man controls your freedom, your schedule, your
It's like, this not even being, the streets is lame. Gangs is lame. What was the other thing, bro? It's like, this is what me personally, I can't be in a gang, a fraternity, or a church. You want to tell you? Let me tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. Gangs. I'm supposed to do all this to make you respect me. Y'all gotta beat my ass to get me in. That's strike one. You gotta beat me up to get me in. And two, I gotta go prove points. I gotta go do this, do that, just to get your approval. As a grown man. See, me personally, this is why I have no problem with moving on my dolo. I feel like a lot of people that move in gangs are scared, or it's like they not even. Okay, I could say they're scared. They scared. They want to fit in and they want to look cool. Bam. That's gangs. In the fraternity, y'all not about to haze me, so I can be a part of this brotherhood. No, bro. No. That's all I gotta say, bro. Ain't nobody about to treat me like shit or disrespect me for X amount of time just so I can fit in with y'all. No, bro. Then a church. Let me tell you about the church. I feel like churches are gangs in a way. Just because, simple fact, it's so many different religions. And it's like they pretty much preach the same thing, but they all put it in different words. They say, Catholics say, Christian is bad because you go to hell if you do this. Christians say, you're going to hell if you do this. Da 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 da. And it's like, bro, it's like politicking, selective politicking, bro. I'm cool. I'm going to have my personal relationship with God, and that's gonna be that way. I don't know how that just turned
your
into God,
life
but
and
yeah, bro.
your booty. I mean, is it really worth
Whoa.
schedule, your future, your life, and your booty? I mean, is it really worth losing your
Pause.
peace, your freedom, and your future?
Has Kyrie texted you back?
Pause. This nigga talking
I don't
want
wanna
to
talk about it.
Hey, I'm gonna get an ad blocker and
How's
I
the
get
math
my
test?
massage, bro. Don't worry about it.
Just to earn the respect of other men who would turn on you the second those football numbers get thrown on the table? I don't really think so. Also, let's just talk about the fact that people are exhausted. If you grew up in a neighborhood that, let's say, had a bunch of gang activity, or if you're connected to that through, let's say, family or friends, you've seen what it does. You've seen the funerals, you've seen the trauma, the same cycle repeating itself over and over again. And over time, normalizing violence doesn't just hurt people, it kills entire communities out. You start seeing food deserts, businesses pulling out, resources disappearing because they don't want to keep losing money in places where chaos is normal. And that's another illusion people are waking up from. Let's not forget that the street image is built on an undisciplined structure. Here's the harsh reality about people who glorify the streets and glorify this lifestyle and actually entertain it. They're going to wake up later in life realizing they chased an image that gave them nothing back. You don't want to be broke, dusty, and have a bunch of charts.
Don't that hurt, bro? You don't get no 401k in the streets. You don't get a steady pay in the streets. You probably do, but you at what cost? Your freedom, your life. What? No, cause you don't get none of that. Therefore, I feel like if you are in the streets and you struggling, or you having a crisis right now, identity crisis, how about you go do something that make you happy, and go make money so you can get the things that you want in life. Because you riding, I don't want to say dick sucking, but you dick sucking the next man ain't gonna get you what you want in life. You dick riding the next man ain't gonna get you what you want. You gonna get what you want with the hard work that you put in towards the goal. Trust.
To your name at the age of 40, wondering what went wrong while the rest of the world moved on. So the question is, what is actually considered cool now? Being responsible, getting money legally, not having to look over your shoulder every single day. Something else that's quietly killing the obsession is positive representation. For a long time, the streets were the only version of success a lot of kids ever saw, especially a lot of minority kids who grew up around pressure, instability, and didn't really have a lot of options around them. However, now in 2025, that has completely changed. As an example, let's take a look at someone like Kai Cenat. He built $1 million empire off of doing something fun, not violent, not criminal, not.
He rode his own wave. People may have called it lame in school. Not everybody want to do it. That's what I'm saying, bro. As long as you love something, get to it and stick to it. No bull. Because eventually it's going to pay off.
Constructive, and that is very important, and that matters. Because when kids see someone who looks like them winning without chaos, without destruction, without throwing their life away, it expands their mind into understanding what's possible for them. Once other paths to success become visible, the other path doesn't look all that appealing. If you look around today, a lot of young people want to do social media. They want to become entrepreneurs. They want to do content creation, or actually something stable like getting a CDL, or learning a skill, starting a small business, building something they can actually live off. They want a future, not a funeral. And as long as we keep exposing the truth, as long as we remind people what the streets really take from you, fewer kids are going to feel the need to prove themselves through destruction. I do also want to emphasize that now more than ever, a lot of young black men are choosing peace. A lot of young black men are saying, I'm not going to be in the streets, because they've seen what it's done to the people that they love. They're choosing purpose. They're choosing a legacy, because at the end of the day, real strength is building an actual life, not a life in the streets, because that lifestyle always comes with an expiration date. And that's why I believe...
I mean, every life cycle and an expiration date. We don't live forever, but I get what he's saying. But the point of life is to live as long as you can, live it the best that you can. You're not gonna live long or live it the best that you can, being stuck around people with a crabs in the barrel mentality. When you start winning, they gonna start hating, then they gonna start to rob you. Yeah, bro, no.
The street image obsession is slowly dying. But hey,
Indeed.
what do I know? You tell me. Do you think the street image obsession is finally losing its sponsor?
Me personally, it is. You know, I ain't never really been into the street little image thing. Probably had a little phase, but it's like that's when I was in the streets. I'm not doing that no more, because I found out all them niggas faking. They all faking. You know what I'm saying? All of them broke. Let's be real. You see these niggas in the streets, they're broke. You know, but yeah, they're broke. I found a better way to get money, a safer way to get money, and I got a family to live for. So it's like, bro, the streets is dead, bro. I guess it's cool. It's cool for a little phase, but other than that, if you get too deep in, you will drown in that water. But I'm gonna catch you niggas in the next one. Yes, sir.